Guys, welcome to Chakra Sessions. I'm your host, Polly Jo Labbe, here on Star Nation's radio network, part of Be Live TV, live streaming through Facebook at this moment. We are all here to gather together today to connect with our inner child. And that's a very important energy for us to connect to, because that's how we create. That's how we manifest. That's how we change our life for what we want it to be, and not reacting to the life that is in front of us. I guess that's the best way to put that. So I see a number of people are in the house. So let's say hello. Hi, Rochelle. Lovely to see your pretty face. Can't wait to see you in person. That'll be so exciting. Good morning, Christine. Hope you're having a lovely day with your artwork. And Marie, hello again. I'll see you this week coming up. I'm very excited. And Cindy Lynn, good afternoon. Glad you guys are here to join us. And so to get the technicalities out of the way, if you could like and share the broadcast, either to your Facebook group or to someone you know who might want to connect with their inner child, or it feels like it would work for them, that would be great. It helps us spread the love and get this out to people who need it. So the inner child has been something that has been talked about for, many years. A lot of people specialize in doing inner child healing because that our childhood experiences shaped our inner child. And so that part of us reacts to our environment in a childlike fashion sometimes, because situations may be similar to something from our childhood. And when that happens, sometimes it takes us by surprise. So by healing our inner child, or creating a sanctuary where our child feels safe to just be, it definitely puts us in this higher vibration, and it allows us to have some more ease and relaxation, and to handle our daily circumstances with a higher perspective, a fuller perspective is how my team is saying that. So I see a few more people in the house. Good morning, Andrew, or afternoon. Glad to have you here. I will be in Maine next weekend teaching, so I'll be excited to be in the area. And Neshi, yay, Neshi is back. So glad. I know a number of us are like Rochelle, saying we missed you. Glad to have you back, but you deserved your vacation, and I'm glad you had it. And so she's loving and sprinkling the show over to her news feeds and to the closed group. So thank you for doing that. Always saves me from having to do that. So yeah, this inner child, the inner child often has this energy of wounding. It carries our wounds from our childhood. And that's a huge responsibility, because if you think about it, as adults, we may be better equipped to handle the old trauma than a child would, right? And would you give that job to a child? Not usually, but often our inner child is doing that work for us still, even though we may be really unaware of that. So one of the things that really helps is when we can open a pathway of communication with our inner child, and then we can take over and let the child know that they're safe and protected, and bring the child in for those playful, exciting creation energy that we want when we're creating something new, when we're out in nature, allowing the child space to kind of run free within us. Then we're in a place where we're more balanced, we feel more safe and more secure in just a whole bunch of different ways. But just like any other relationship, sometimes communication can be tricky because, our child has every right to feel not safe at times. But we know when the child is ready to come out and play, because we get excited and we're like, yay. My child loves to go to the beach and loves to play skee ball. And, to be outside in the sunshine, just in general. But she loves to dance. And when I take time to do those things with my inner child and let her kind of let it all hang out, with no judgment. That's the big one. When I'm not judging my inner child and what she wants and how she wants to do things, it establishes a stronger relationship with the child. It's kind of like you are becoming the parent to your inner child. And up till now, the inner child has only had our parents as parents. And our parents did a great job, but they couldn't feel inside themselves what we needed or what we wanted. And sometimes they couldn't tell that the difference between a want and a need, right? And so when that happens, we are in that place where our inner child just really starts to have a little bit of a tantrum. She feels like she's kicking and screaming, and you just get cranky and snippy with people that's not how you normally would be. I think of the Snickers commercials, when the people are acting a certain way, and then when they have the Snickers, they're like calm in themselves. I feel like that's often our inner child. Our inner child transforms our energy into, someone who needs attention and who needs to be heard. And we're not always good at that. So this is just, how that kind of goes. So I saw some more things in here. So hi, Esperanza. Nice to have you in the house. Hope you are having a magical day. I can kind of see you with your hula hoop. And then she's saying that I look great. The video, the camera, it's so crisp and clear. Thank you. Yeah. Now Cindy Lynn is tapping into her inner child. She said, yep, then mine's a brat today. Yeah, I've had a few days where mine's been a brat. And I've also had a few days recently where, I don't know about you guys, but here in Massachusetts, we're having hot weather. We're having summer weather. And it doesn't matter if the calendar said we started autumn yesterday. It didn't stop it from being 86 degrees out. So my inner child in hot weather likes cold drinks. And of course she loves ice cream. And ice cream is something that I can't have anymore. But I can have certain frozen yogurts. So my inner child was like, when are we having our treat? And so I had to set some boundaries like a good parent, like, okay, when we do our, our juicing the way we're meant to, then you can have this treat after. But we got to get all this stuff done first, and then we can have our treat. But she definitely was cranky with the hotter weather. And yesterday with autumn, there was something very emotional about the autumn equinox, about the sort of like letting all the leaves go, letting all the layers of self go. And it leaves a sort of bare feeling or a barren feeling sometimes. But if you think about it, the trees drop all their leaves and they stand there naked, allowing themselves space to grow again, to create something brand new. And so my inner child yesterday was emotional about the shedding, but really emotional about the possibilities that were coming, all the stuff that is being created, and not really overwhelmed, but there was like a lot of excitement about the shifting and the changing, and the letting go. So I see my dad's in the house. Hi, Dad. Nice to have you here. And Brenda. Oh, thank you. Yes, I I am quite fond of this dress. I got that this year. And I'm not somebody who normally does like lemons, but it called to me. And it's quite warm. We're in the, upper 70s, low 80s, which, is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but the humidity has been interesting to have that as part of this energy. Oh, and Donna is here as well. Hello, Donna. Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. So our inner child gets cranky when she's ignored. How did you feel when you were a child if you got ignored? You would throw a fit until somebody paid attention, right? Or you would get super quiet and anxious. And our inner child does the same thing. It's recognizing when it's happening. And that only happens when we have really good communication with our inner child, when we are really willing to listen to what they need and what they want. And I talk about needs and wants differently. Need is a visceral reaction for me. So a need is something that is mandatory. Ice cream is not mandatory. So that's a want, right? But needing to take a nap, that can be very visceral. There are times when my inner child, we've been going, and she's all of a sudden like, I need a nap now. And if you've ever had small children, when that moment hits, when you've hit that little barrier of, oh no, they need a nap, or, oh no, I pushed it a little too long before I fed them. And that happens within us, right? So when we open up the communication with the inner child, we don't get ourselves into those situations where our child is reacting. Because when the child is reacting, then we're reacting to everything around us. And like I said earlier, we're reacting from a childlike perspective. And there are times when that happens to us and we're like, I don't know what happened. I don't know why I reacted that way. It's because your inner child was reacting that way. And in addition to that, I also feel very strongly that we have an inner teenager. I've been seeing a lot of inner teenagers who are not inner child coming out with clients and students lately. That rebellious part of, you can't make me. And we all know when that happens, it's when somebody tells you you have to do something and you dig in your heels and you don't do it and rebel against that. Or, the teenager wants to stay out too late, or wants to, eat junk food, or whatever it is. It's like you can tell when you're having that sort of bratty experience. So Cindy Lynn, not sure, I would take a look and feel into the brattiness of the inner child right now for you, and put an age on it. And then it'll give you a perspective of, who was I at that age? And how was I reacting to things? Because then maybe you can think back to that time and think of things that you wanted at that time, or you needed at that time and you didn't get. Because there's a lot of things that people hold on to that we're not even aware of. I held on to, this is going to sound odd maybe to some of you, but I used to ask, Santa Claus, you write the list out for Santa. And it was a tradition in my family at my grandmother's house that on Thanksgiving, as we gathered and had Thanksgiving meal, after the meal was done, we would write our Christmas list. So my grandmother would have it to be able to go shopping. So Santa would know with plenty of time for Santa to go shopping. And there was that fun looking through the catalogs, the Sears catalog, or I can't even think of what other couple ones were, and the flyers and that type of thing. It was a big deal at that time. And every year there were a couple gifts that I asked for that I never got. And Barbie was one of them. I had Barbies for a little while, but I was only allowed certain Barbies because she was a bad role model in terms of body shape and figure and stuff. But I just wanted a doll that was that size to play with. And because the regular baby dolls, I didn't want to be a mommy baby doll, so I wanted an adult doll to play with, pretending to be my adult. And so it was this constant struggle. I did get some along the way, often, like through friends for birthdays or that type of thing. But I did have Barbie. Now, this easy bake oven, I asked for it every year and did not get it. And every Christmas that rolled around, I was so resentful of having to create a list when you weren't going to get what you wanted. And it built and built and built, right? And so I started resenting just even making lists and even seeing Santa Claus in the mall or anything like that, because I felt like what I wanted was never taken care of. I resolved that. I actually did clearing on it, but my husband one year bought me an easy bake oven for Christmas. And it was a Barbie one. It was a pink one. And I didn't even use it. It was just that finally somebody heard me and I got what I needed or wanted. So we all have experiences like that in our life where there's something that our 7-year-old maybe wanted. Maybe they wanted a certain bike and we didn't get it. Or maybe they wanted a chance to go on vacation because everybody was going on vacation and they didn't get to. So that child still may hold the resentment. So if we don't open up communication with our inner child, that's building in us and we're not even really totally aware sometimes about that. And so when we heal that relationship with saying, hey, I'm the adult now, I can get you what you want. I can get you what you need. For a while there, I collected Barbies as an adult. I had all the dancing ones because I was a dance teacher, and I had them up in my dance studio. And when a little girl, was mesmerized, I would let them play with her, But it was something that released that in my inner child. And then I didn't need it anymore. The need had been fulfilled. And the sharing was really sweet to be able to share. I gave ones away every year. It was part of my dance recital tradition. There were some that were given away. And so that was opening and healing my inner child. So everybody has their own childhood things. And I'm not talking about necessarily like trauma itself, but things that felt traumatic to a child. When we are, left alone a lot, we can have that resentment of, being alone. We can go back into our child and feel like we're being left alone rather than the sanctity of, phew, I've got space to breathe and be on my own. There's a difference in that. And it's that perspective of allowing the child to see that being alone isn't a punishment, or we don't have to feel lonely when we're alone. That's another huge thing, that when we can heal that for our child, it no longer controls the actions that we take as an adult. It allows us space to really expand who we are and let go of those things that we've held on to, and I know people who have siblings where, their inner child was hurt by your inner child, because you said things or did things when you were kids and people are still holding on to it. I didn't have that growing up, but my husband had brothers and sisters, and his one older brother, he's holding on to things from childhood that my husband has no memory of. Not that they had a fight or anything, but his older brother feels like he let him down. But it's not something that my husband's holding on to. It's his brother, and his brother is holding it from that his child is hurt. His child feels badly that he hurt my husband's feelings, I guess. But he's not willing to look at that and heal that. And so it's something that comes up again and again and again in different situations. It comes up again and again. And that's how you know you haven't healed it. But we can parent our inner child, and we can shift that. We can give our inner child a magic wand to be able to wave it every time they want to create some new memory and release the old one. And it doesn't have to be our story anymore. We can change our story. We can change, it doesn't have to be a fairy tale, but it can be more in alignment with, you've made it this far. Your child did really well. Your child has grown into a beautiful, lovely human being, an adult. And anything that they're holding on to from years and years ago, that energy isn't even still in the room, right? So why bring it into the room over and over again? So that's part of healing our inner child, part of opening the communication and really allowing some space. Nice, Rochelle. Nice share. Good info. I fortunately have resolved most of my inner child traumas, but she comes out now and then. Of course she does. She's in there. She wants to be seen. She wants to be heard. And that's the key, Rochelle, is when we go in and we start healing those traumas, then she doesn't have to act in a traumatic way to things. Oh, hey, Kristen, glad you're able to join. Nice to have you here. The inner child can kind of run amok in our body. And if you take a second, let's everybody just take a second, take a deep breath. And we're going to just check in our own body. Where is our inner child residing right this minute? And you might get a knowing, you might get a sense. And often she's hanging out in one of the lower chakras, but could be in the heart, could be in the throat, anywhere in the energy body. Now, the place where she's meant to hang out is in our heart, in the upper right chamber of our heart. And when she's not there, that's when, and she's in any lower part of the body, that's when she's reacting. When our inner child is reacting to the environment and reacting from old programming that's no longer true in this particular moment. When she's sitting in the heart space, then we're able to look at things from a higher perspective. We can take action instead of reacting to things. It gives us a little more room to breathe. And it gives us a fuller sense of our life, a fuller sense of who we are. It brings in ease and grace. And most of this is, you've probably heard in pieces, bits and pieces before. It's not necessarily anything brand new, but knowing that she might be living in the wrong house in our energetic body, opening the communication and helping her move back into her beautiful space in the heart. That may be a game changer for some of you. And so there's hi, Ellen, glad to have you in the house. I like some of these responses. Kristen is saying, supposedly she's in my third eye because she always comes up during readings. Well, in readings, she gets excited to help other people. So she could be in your heart. But she might, as soon as your third eye like goes in to do readings, she might get excited about, woo, here we are. This is what we're getting to play, because readings may be like play. I know when I do readings for people or I do fairs, my inner child's really excited that we're going to get to play with a bunch of people today. But she's in my heart, even though I'm doing that work. Rochelle says, stomach, I'm hungry. Well, yeah, she needs to get fed, right? Don't we all? Hi, Roberta. Glad to have you in the house. So yeah, she may be anywhere in your body, and it's cool to know. And just because they're not in your heart at this moment doesn't mean that they aren't there quite often. And then also, depending on circumstances, right? When we're around certain people, we react differently, right? There are people we're more comfortable, we're more relaxed with. Then our inner child is often relaxed and comfortable too, and they're more than likely situated in our heart space or connected to our heart space. Let me put it that way. But when things are kind of running amok, or we're really stressed out and we've got a lot to do and we don't know how we're going to get it done, the anxiety revs up and it taps into all the old anxiety you might have ever felt. So then she may drop down toward the stomach, down into the third, or, may hang out down in the second, because, that's where relationship energy is. And she's trying to connect. So that's how that kind of, that energy goes, So Kristen says, oh, that makes so much sense. And I'm not sure why are you cutting onions? There's like the crying. Yeah. The inner child too can cry, a lot of people will have times where they get super disappointed or their feelings get hurt. And it brings up old times when your feelings got hurt, when you got left out from a birthday party, when you were the last one picked for kickball, when somebody didn't share a toy with you. Those are just hurts and disappointments that can still be lodged in our inner child, no matter how old we are. We don't always clear all those. And so there may be times when we're done energetically, and she just starts crying. Like I said, last night, we had an autumn equinox celebration, and my inner child was super emotional about it. There was something about the lighting of the candle, all the candles in the sanctuary, and which is breathtaking. But also, the endings and the new beginnings and all that had been through, gone through in the last year, or actually really over the summer, and what we're moving into now. I mean, there's so much shifting and growing. And so there was a disappointment at what was being lost or felt as a loss. But there was excitement of what was coming in the future. And that's completely normal for us to feel happy and sad at the same time. But our inner child sometimes gets overwhelmed with the feelings. And when she gets overwhelmed with the feelings, people may say, that you're too sensitive. And I feel that people who have, empathic abilities, and a lot of us do, that is because we have an inner child with a super big heart. And that super big heart sometimes gets hurt and disappointed, but she also gets excited and is filled with love and wants to play and share love with everyone. So that's how all of that goes. So the connecting to our inner child, like as I said, it can be Some people do that as their whole healing practice. That's all they do is work on the inner child. I find that once the inner child learns to trust you and respect you and know that you're listening and taking care of it, the tantrumy kind of energy slows down, and you'll get little warning signs of, oof, my inner child needs something right now. And then we can parent that. We can change our reaction and say, okay. And when we say, hold on a minute, it actually means a minute, not 2 hours or 2 days or 2 years from now, right? Because that's where trust comes in. That's when we call in our integrity. And we talked about integrity last week, and where does it live inside of us, and where does honesty reside inside of us? And they're different locations in our energy body. Our inner child knows that. Our inner child knows, because it's right inside there with that vibration. It knows when we're being in our integrity, and it knows when we're being truthful. And if we're like, yeah, hold on a second, and we don't really mean it, the child's going to keep going. And for those of you who have parents, young children, they know that too, right? They know when you are just dismissing them and when you are actually going to listen to them next, right? A lot of parents don't understand that kids can read that. They can read when they're being put off and being dismissed and not heard. And that shapes how we respond as adults. So healing that inner child from any of that kind of energy where they weren't heard, they weren't seen, and they weren't heard. You know, think about any time you were told, you know, could you go over there and just be quiet for a bit? That was shutting down the glow and the joy of the inner child. When you needed, you know, it's one thing to say, hey, mommy needs a little quiet right now, so I will play with you in like a half an hour, but I just need a little time to do what I'm doing right now. And then you have my undivided attention for an hour or whatever it is. There's a difference, and they know it when we need a timeout because we're overwhelmed versus I don't have time for one more thing on my plate and you are one more thing on our plate. We feel that in our body. Our child knows that difference. So healing that space, opening the communication and getting in touch with our inner child, very, very important. Yeah, so Roberta's saying, oh, even not overthinking trip planning to a non-English speaking country. I've had to dial down the overthinking more than once. Yes. I'll tell you, I took a trip to Brazil, non-English speaking country, and did it mostly by myself. I had a guide from Ireland, and there were a couple other women who were on the trip who were Irish, but they spoke Celtic a lot. So I was in a foreign country with a lot of people who spoke other languages. And that was part of my journey. I did have my little, quick guide Portuguese lookup thing. But I found that when it's your inner child speaking, like your inner child needs to know where the bathroom is. There's something about the energy that we project to somebody else. They can see our child needs to go to the bathroom and they help you find it. Or they can see that your child needs food. And so like when it's a base need, it's almost like the language barrier breaks completely down. Because people are reading the child within you and your child is very clearly communicating what they need. And I don't know if that's happened for you, where you've been the person where someone isn't from this country and is trying to communicate and they're frantic. And if you just breathe into it, you can kind of see what they're asking for and their gestures and help them. So yeah, stop overthinking. You're surrounded, you're protected, you're guided. It's good. It's all good. So let's, find some tools. One of the things that, almost all the time lately, here's one of our blends. This is the inner child blend. And this one helps the inner child remember how to stay in the heart. And so when I'm in stressful situations or when I'm in overload, I have a lot of planning. I have a lot of traveling to do in the next 6 weeks, really, 7 weeks. And so in that place where I've got a lot to do, my adult can kind of go on to overdrive and my inner child can, feel a little stressed out. So when I use the inner child blend, I'm reminding her that I want her to stay in the heart, that I need her creative energy to help me through all of this planning, so that I don't go into overthinking and that I can make it magical. How can I play at my creation? I've got massive lists that have to get done. So how do I playfully work my way through it? How do I reward myself for making it through, 10 items on my list? Do I take a break? Do I sit out on my deck with, a cup of coffee? Just for 15 minutes, just so she can have some nature time, as a thank you for getting everything done. That's one of those things that can really help you move through and really shift your relationship with your inner child. And when we create a stronger relationship with our inner child, we also create a stronger connection to connect to other people, because our child can see their child from a heart perspective and not a wounded perspective. And it allows us to see people in their vulnerable place, but not as a bad thing, but as a way to open our empathy, open our compassion, begin remembering that we are all here together and that we all have a purpose and that every single one of us is needed for that. Even if we don't understand what somebody's purpose is, there's a purpose. So our inner child helps us see that, catch that, and tune into that. So nice to see. I guess we had a couple more jump on. Hi, Kimberly. Nice to have you. I'm glad to catch you. Glad to have you here. And Gina, hi. How are you doing today? I love your kitty cat. I'm a cat lady. We have, well, not a cat lady. We have 2 cats, but I'm somebody who's very drawn to having that cat, the old, they have that soul communication that you can do with them. And I know dogs have it too. I tend to do my communication so strongly with cats. So that's very cool. So let's do our clearing meditation to connect to our inner child and to invite the inner child to sit in the heart for a little while. Because that way you can have a little bit of time today, see how long it can stay, where your child can feel safe and comfortable in that inner child point, and move forward from there. All right, so let's start by taking a couple of deep breaths.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go. And we're just going to ground our energy to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
And whether we connect through our root chakra, our tailbone, our feet, or however, our heart even, Just really allowing ourselves to feel anchored in this space, in this time. And through that anchor, allowing space for anything that is ready to release, to go down and be composted. And calling in the divine, however you connect to that, however you perceive that. For the highest, fullest, and brightest vibration available to us in this moment. And for our inner child, creating a bubble of protection around us. Surround us and protect us in a bubble of infinite love and infinite light. And invite in your spiritual team, your guides, your mentors, your angels, the star beings, animal totems, all divine, of the highest, fullest, and brightest, to help guide us. And we're just going to begin by feeling into our heart center. Feel the energy in there. Allow it to fill with love, light, and compassion in all the chambers of our heart, in the physical plane, in the energetic plane, and even connecting to our high heart as well. And asking the high heart to send its pink energy of unconditional love through all of our hearts, and even through the heart of our inner child. And now inviting our inner child to communicate with us, shedding a spotlight on the child so she can be seen and heard. And just notice your inner child. How are they dressed? What are they feeling? And is there any way that you can help? An opening space for the inner child to communicate with us or to our spiritual team what they need and what they want. Even if we have difficulty hearing that or sensing that at this moment. And asking and inviting our inner child to communicate, how would they like to play? What play is missing in our life right now? What would they like time to do? or to be. And now encourage your inner child to stay in the heart so that the healing of unconditional love can release them from any of their woundings or any of their burdens. Allowing them to be the center of attention, having all of your focus in this moment. Now give your inner child a big hug. Pick them up if they need picking up. And remember, you are hugging that young self. Filling that need for attention and love. And allowing any hurt or disappointment to gently melt down the body and out into the earth. And you can imagine giving a special gift to your inner child. Something that lets them know that you are hearing them. Maybe it's a pen for writing or drawing some beautiful pictures. Maybe it's a beautiful crystal that's sparkly and magic. Maybe it's a book to read. Or maybe it's sand from the ocean. But this gift allows the inner child to understand that you really do know what they need and want. Even if you haven't been able to give it to them quite yet. Now take a couple of deep breaths, feeling your energy in that connection, noticing your breathing. Noticing how it feels within your heart to hold your child there. And begin to take a couple of breaths where you start to dissolve your meditation, but you still get to hold your child in this heart space. so that they can connect and play. My child needs a sit. Of course, out of my poo cup, because what else would my inner child want? Yes, Roberta said probably right before we went into meditation, I'll go to your site for a bottle of the Inner Child Blend. Love that play is the key, and I'll breathe that into my space. Yes, the Inner Child Blend, it's a newer blend, but it's so interesting to me. I channel the blends, and so I don't necessarily know why they work initially. I always look them up after my logical brain needs to know why it works that way. But it's as soon as you put it on, first of all, your heart opens a little bit, but it creates that safe space. So it's like creating a safe space inside of ourselves where we always feel comfortable. We always feel safe. And don't we all need that? So it's been a lovely one. It also helps when there are times when we've been adulting so long, we forget how to play. And so by using the inner child, sometimes that helps us connect to those possibilities, those desires of how to play. And every child plays differently. So, you do it how you do it. I really love one of the things that I tend to do sometimes when I have workshops or open houses, I have bubbles, because most people can't not blow bubbles. Their inner child has bubbles near them. They have to blow them. They have to play with them. And it's exciting to have that little fun connection for the inner child. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. The other words that are sort of coming through is that play is really the pathway to creativity. And a lot of people are starting to understand how much creativity has to do with manifesting and creating the life and the world that we desire. If we're not happy, then change the story within. And doing that through play will allow you and everyone around you to shift their energy and shift their perspective. I think one of the things that is so difficult is, a lot of the work environments are very sterile and they don't want people to have their individuality. It's nice when people can decorate their space and make it their own. And so that they feel at home, even though they're in this work space. So remember that things that help you feel at home or that are comforting to you, that helps the inner child. For me, my grandmother made Afghans. So if I'm going to take a nap or I'm going to go to bed at night, there's something comforting about having one of her Afghans over me. It's like I'm held in love energy. And some people have their like Snuggie blanket that they do that with, or a stuffed animal or something, but it allows the child to feel comfortable and safe. And when they're in that space, then they can help us with our ideas and our creating. And I love that. It's all part of the work that I do and how I do it. So for those of you who would like to sort of move your healing to the next level, move your creation energy to the next level, I have a couple of events coming up. If you're on the East Coast or want to be on the East Coast, next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I will be in Agunquit, Maine, teaching an empowerment retreat there. And we will definitely be working with their inner child. Francesca will be with me, and her child loves to dance, as does mine. So we have a lot of movement things going, as well as clearing and really diving into what is blocking you and your creativity from moving forward. And then the following weekend, on the 11th, 12th, and 13th, I'll be at Star Nations. Yay! In Wisconsin, and we will be doing the same thing. So, hey guys, if you wanna get that inner child back into your heart space on a regular basis, how about we get some of that wounding out, and give you some space to creatively create your life the way you want it to be. Sounds magical, and I'm excited to be able to share that and do that with you, and with Neshi. It's always great to be at the Academy. It's such a lovely place where I feel held and supported. So I guess I'm feeling complete. If anybody wants to share anything about their inner child experience, feel free to do so. Because if not, then we'll probably call it a day. Because it's been, your inner child maybe needs to go out and play. Mine's seeing the sunshine, and is definitely thinking about it. So here's the information about the Star Nations Academy class. There's still a little bit of space. We have room for a couple more people. If you feel compelled to visit us out there in Toma, we'd love to have you. So with that, you guys, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night on Soul Connections at 7. And as for the rest of the day, Neshi's on tap. So I'm very excited to have that coming up. Oh, and here's where you can find my healing blends. The inner child blend is in there to help you with that connection if you need that. So Neshi's on tap tonight at 8 o'clock with Communications from Home. I believe she's doing the show tonight. And the Spiritual Roundtable at 3, if I'm not mistaken. And if not, see me tomorrow at Soul Connections at 7 p.m., where I'll be doing guided messages as well as a healing meditation for all of you out there who are really committed to changing the planet and change by helping change yourself. There you go. I will talk to you soon. Mwah. Thanks, guys.